So we'll start off with Avi, and let him introduce himself, tell him a little about yourself.
Okay, thank you. So, can you hear me? My name is Avinoam, actually, not Avi, but Avi is what we've agreed because it's a bit difficult. Avinoam Nowogrodski, and I'm the founder of a company named Clarizen. Clarizen is doing on-demand collaborative project management for business.
Give us a quick view of what you see coming in the next 5 years and how that is maybe different than what we've seen in the last 5 years. Avinoam?
Okay, first of all, I hope that the next 5 years in on-demand are going to be better than the previous one, although the previous one seems to be that picking up very fast, because I bet my future on this direction, like most of us, I guess. I think that, if we look on a different perspective of on-demand, I think, and I would like to highlight maybe a different aspect of on-demand. It's clear that the globalization is accelerating, and it's accelerating fast. And it's accelerating because of the common standards and the infrastructure that is improved. And this gets the business, all of our business, to be much more dynamic. And at the end of the day, I believe that on-demand is basically addressing the dynamic of business, and it gives companies possibility to keep up the pace of dynamic. So the way that I see the next 5 years is that companies that will not move to the on-demand will be left behind. So in fact, I think that there are always companies that are conducting their business in a very large scale, big companies. But we will see more and more small companies that have the same needs of the bigger company. And at the end of the day, they will be able to make this change internally faster and then gain additional traction on the bigger company.
What's your view, opinion on how to approach the SME market, as it is, I think, indeed a specific type of customer that has not been used to use ERP systems that are available at a very small price, in most of the cases via SaaS. And how do you view the plug-and-play factor of SaaS applications with respect to that?
You have 3 main success factors in order to be able to sell to SME, or what's so-called the long tail. And by the way, this was always the case for the SME. You need, first of all, to remove friction with the customers, meaning reduce your prices to the level that they can buy it. You need to reduce your customer acquisition cost, and the web is a great way to go forward. And you need to come with a clear value that covers a specific scenario that you don't need to explain. If you do this, you have a successful SaaS company.
Talking about future of on-demand, will we see hybrid companies really exist within the next 5 years? Let's start with Avinoam. Yes or no?
No, I will start and say that as an answer to your question, because this relates to it, I think that that hybrid model in a systematic way will not work. I mean, it may work for companies, but for a transition period. It cannot, in my mind, keep going forever the same way. And I know that there are different opinions on this front. So I think that companies that are going through this transition needs to do it very fast as they can, pay the toll that it requires, if they see that there is a good enough business case for them. And I think that you're asking a question which is the billion-dollar question, and this is what stands between Google and Microsoft and between many, many other big companies and others that are coming up. And when there is a disruption of technology to business model, and this is what is happening in on-demand, then big companies, small companies are getting to be big. And the big companies have a big challenge. A good example could be digital. They own the mini computer, and then the PC came out. It's the same story of the long tail, and many, many other examples of companies that have just disappeared after 20 years. We don't hear about them anymore.
This is one that's getting asked a lot. The future of SaaS, do we see a suite play coming from companies like Salesforce essentially becoming SAP and Oracle, owning all the different pieces? Or do we see with web services and mashup the ability for people actually to get best of breed? And maybe this is different than enterprise software in that in 5 years' time you'll be able to get these best of breed apps and you won't have suite plays. Which way is it going? Again, I'll start with,
Okay.
you got it right
So
to
I will be the one that is out of line. I think that for a company, including a SaaS company, to be successful, you need to develop an ecosystem. In order to get to a leadership position, you need to make other people rely on your business and develop their own skills, their own relationship, their own go-to-market in order for you to grow your business. So in my mind, the tendency that we see right now in Salesforce and in NetSuite and others is the tendency that is going to lead. Those companies are building an infrastructure where based on this infrastructure, you can build vertical applications. And we're going to see another layer coming up on this application. By the way, this is the best practices for the applications. And as a whole, they will be able to sell enterprise solution, enterprise software at the SaaS model. That's my opinion.
So SMB, how are you for the SMB, and how have you gone? You had some very interesting about marketing on the web or selling on the web and lowering the costs. Does that tie into that market at all?
Yeah, I think that when we saw the migration from Unix to Windows, a lot of the enterprise software went through this transaction. I think all of them at the end of the day. And this was the same story, because it was a different model, because you had direct salespeople that sold the enterprise software. And normally with the Windows enterprise software, you have VARs, distributors that are selling your stuff. And now we have the web as the go-to-market strategy. So you need to be able to attract your customers through the web. And if you are able to do this, you have a very easy way to duplicate your success, because you don't need to send salespeople, you don't need to communicate again and again with your VARs and explain them again the story. And you have a very attractive way to develop your business. So I think that the SME, the small companies, are being now exposed to advanced technologies through the web at the end of the day.
They think it's going to be different in Europe, it's going to be better than what we've seen so far. Why will this in the next 5 years, what are the aspects of the European market that will give people more success in selling than maybe they've had in the last 5 years in say, the States, where this is originally took off? What are the advantages of going on demand in this market that's unique to this market?
This is, by the way, it could be the reason for Salesforce to go through sales, direct sales in Europe, in Russia, which is different from in the States, is because there is a transaction here that needs to be done in the cultural perception, and people in Europe are much more conservative, and it takes more effort to convince them to go into this direction. But once that is going to be the common standard, it will be the same like in the US.
So give us a 1 minute, this is going to be something that will be much different 5 years from now in the on-demand world than what we see today.
We talked a lot about the efficiency of on-demand for the customers, and that's absolutely true. But there is another aspect, and this is the software vendors. For the software vendors, as one that have developed software for 10 years, I can tell you that after 10 years of development of a product, which was sold to more than 100,000 users, you find yourself that 90% of your R&D effort are in maintenance. You're just being left with less than 10% in order to develop your future generation. At the end of the day, this is the picture, I believe, for most of the software company owners. So I think that there is no doubt that on-demand will prosper and will be the major or the main mechanism to deliver software. Additionally, I think that what we're going to see is going to be developed, and I think that your company is in this direction, the OpSource. We're going to see another layer coming on the hosted services that is being supplied. And this is what so-called, I've seen a webware. It's the ability to have basically the infrastructure to develop application on top of a fully hosted with a software on it that enables you basically to use it as an operating system. And this is what I believe is going to be the direction.
Great. Well, I'd like to thank our panelists. Obviously, quite a different set of views, but some real in-depth thoughts about where this is going. I know we've got more questions, but I'm sure they'll be here at lunch and throughout the conference. Please feel free to follow up with each of them. So, thank you very much.